Yeah,
Lights
yeah.
is a community that you've never experienced before. You get to talk about God and the big questions of life and death. There's games, music, and discussion groups, and as a bonus, there's free food as well.
Cheers. Mon ami, do you know what rhymes with poisson?
Oh, what rhymes with poisson? Oh, dear friends, welcome to Lights Live in Paris.
France,
Français. Ouais. What rhymes with français? Ouais. French, yes.
There are 42 people.
42 people. How do you say that in our native tongue?
42.
42.
Ouais, I had to think
Yes.
for a second. Well, welcome. We have the pastry, the finest pastry in all of France.
The finest pastry in all of de France.
The finest cheese, the fromage,
De
the
fromage.
bread, du pain,
That
les crackers.
is les crackers.
And surtout, most importantly,
Les croissants.
croissant.
Les croissants.
do you know what I like about le croissant?
What?
It rhymes with
We also have les Raibines.
Les Raibines de France.
Et France.
Very good non-alcoholic.
Non-alcoolique. Non.
Ouais, très bien. 47. Oh, someone. Genre, j'adore pain du chocolat, le chocolate croissant.
Oh, les chocolats croissants.
Well, welcome everybody. We hope you have a good time tonight as you join us in France.
Yes.
We hope you have your French accents ready to go.
Yes.
Ouais. And your moustache primed and ready.
And your monocle,
That is the France, ouais.
very important to see.
Ouais.
Yeah, ouais. Ouais.
Well, did you know, Ellie, you can follow Lights on social media?
Social media.
Le média de social.
Le média,
ouais,
des
c'est là-bas,
social
c'est là-bas.
media.
That is Facebook and
Les Instagram.
les Instagram, ouais.
Yeah,
Ouais.
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 Now shall we run our French army through army? Say with confidence.
Mes amis, oui.
Mes
So my
amis,
friends, yes, my friends.
Through the schedule for this evening,
Le plan.
for this bonne nuit,
The bonne nuit, what's that?
good night.
Ah oui, it's going to be a good night.
It is going to be a good night. All right.
Well, maintenant, you have the introduction, c'est the best beat.
Absolutely.
Ouais.
Yes.
After that, you have the,
Lucky door.
la porte du chance. Ouais, c'est ça.
Yes, les portes de chance.
Ouais. Then you have the Zoom discipleship group. Who can come to that?
Everyone.
Everyone. Yeah, tout le
is
monde.
welcome to that.
Tout le monde.
Zimo, Zimeria,
Ouais. As the French say.
as the French say.
Yes, unless They are French, the
Yes.
less sometimes. No, onwards. The interactive game,
Interactive
and that is
game.
also known as
The Mentimeter.
the Mentimeter, a favorite.
A
A favorite.
a crowd favorite.
Ouais.
Yes.
Then the dance moves, memes of the week, meme de la semaine,
Meme de la semaine.
les chansons,
Les chansons.
the song.
The song. Oh no, the memory verse.
Ah ouais, with my brother.
With
yes.
your
I
brother.
almost forgot.
Your Australian brother.
Ouais,
Very
he's
odd
very
that
Australian.
he is Australian.
Oh yes, my name is Jean Callum.
Oh yes, my
Brother.
name is Pierre.
Bonjour Pierre.
Bonjour, Jean-Claude Callum.
Then we split into, how do you say, the boys and the girls?
The boys and the girls.
Ouais. For the separate reading the Bible
Yes,
and
and listening to the talk and playing,
praying and yes.
and they also,
We're actually going to do also beforehand, but that is a mistake. No,
That's okay.
never mind.
the French are imperfect.
Yes. Shall we get going with the lucky door? Shall we
We
appel,
shall we get going
Jess?
with the lucky door. Absolutely.
Bring, bring. Jess, are you there?
Ring, ring, ring,
Ring,
ring. Jessica.
Oh, this good Ribena, no?
This good
Oh, it's very good.
Ribena. This Ribena is très bien, if you will.
Les Français, j'adore le chocolat chaud. Il y a the hot chocolate.
Oh, I am going to cut myself some brie.
Oh, yes, some cheese.
Just
while we
some
wait. It will
cheese
be
while we
very
wait
nice.
for the Jessica. Would you like some cheese?
I would
Jean
love some
Calon?
fromage.
Some
Some-
fromage.
Ah, elle est
there
là-bas.
she is. Jessica, we
I
cannot hear
her.
you.
She is n'écoute pas. We cannot hear you, but you look very, very good.
Very chilly.
Yes, this is true. This is true.
Very. Oh, she has
Oh, it's a croissant.
un croissant.
Oh wait,
There she is.
I can
Can you
hear
hear me
her.
yet?
Yes, we
Yes,
can hear
queen.
now.
So just that croissant is straight from Paris,
Ah oui.
Callum and Ellie.
It's very
Like,
same as
straight
us.
from their platter.
Ah ouais.
We have a mug with a pen with a French bulldog on it. French.
Very
French,
good,
French,
very
French.
good.
Some French fries and some tea that's rose with French vanilla.
Aha, oui.
So-
My favorite vanilla that.
Let's go for a walk.
Where are you, Jess? Yes.
Oh, I'm just struggling to hold everything.
That is very understandable. Oh, that rhymes with poisson.
Okay, I'm coming up to the house.
Yes, French fries are actually French, of course.
Obviously.
Ah,
Oh, your video has gone, Jessica.
but it's back now.
Oh, you are back. Do not worry.
my throat is going to
We're
hurt.
just walking up some stairs.
Oh,
Oh, who has
If you
you
have,
had stairs.
if you have stairs, a fun fact: this person has a friend over today.
Oh, this is
a
a little
clue.
bit of a clue.
A clue.
For Clouseau.
Inspector Clouseau.
And let's give them a knock.
That house looks familiar.
It does.
I have been
I
there.
don't know if I knocked hard enough.
I think
Maybe rings the
But I
doorbell.
hear
Yes,
some
that-
laughing.
that house has a little bell
Hear
that
some
you
laughing.
twist.
And we have. Oh, there's a lot of people. There's
Oh,
actually a lot of people here.
bonjour!
Oh.
So, and we have a Ben Dudley in the background.
Oh, hello, Ben.
Bonjour.
He's a good friend of mine, Ben.
And we have the you 10 girls. 11. You're 11 girls.
Bonjour.
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 Hello. And a fun fact for you all, this is for Caitlin, not for the rest of you. Sorry.
Oh, that was the fun fact.
So,
That is not a fun fact.
That is an incredibly bleak
Yes,
fact.
unless you're Caitlin.
what's everyone's names?
I'm Caitlin, Mariana, and Jasmine.
Well,
Bonjour,
some new
fille.
friends.
You want to take the rest?
Yeah.
Do not know if they can
Thank
hear
you,
us.
wow! Let me stop that.
Yeah, so
Well done.
that's fun. I'm gonna go because if it'll take too long to ask them all what they've learnt. Anyone got a quick thing that they've learnt about God in isolation?
That is powerful. Strong through it all.
That's a good quick one. And back to you in Paris.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Jessica.
Ouais,
They did not see.
We'll wait.
Hold on. Hold
Hold
on.
on, hold on.
Be patient.
Here it
Hold
comes.
your horses.
It is a good slide.
It is. Oh.
Merci beaucoup, Jessica.
Merci beaucoup, Jessica. Now, Jean Calhoun,
Ah ouais?
how
Ah ouais?
how do you enter the lucky door?
The
prize?
lucky door. Ah yes, you go to the, how do you say, the Instagram?
The Instagram.
Instagram, là, is there, là-bas, ouais, ouais, ouais. And you must, how do you say, the comment?
Comment?
The comment?
Comment?
Comment. Oh, you must comment.
You must
on-
comment on the promotional post.
Yeah, like is not good enough.
No, like
No, not good enough to like, you must comment.
terrible.
Quelque chose, something. Anything.
Something.
Anything.
Perhaps something humorous.
Ouais, de France.
De France.
Ouais, ouais, ouais.
Absolutely.
Maintenant, we have the, je crois le jeu, the game.
Oh, the interactive game on the Mentimeter.
Ah, ouais, ouais, ouais.
Oh, all right.
So, get out your phone. Where's my phone? Phone.
Hey, there
Oh,
we go.
there
The
it is.
Mentimeter. Now let us go to menti.com. I wonder if people are confused as towards how long we are going to have these accents go on for.
My throat hurts.
Not is having a terrible time, and I can feel myself slipping into the Russian.
Yes, very slow.
Very
Longtemps.
slow, but very shortly. So go to menti.com and use the code 371101.
Ah ouais, ouais.
Maybe send
en
a
France.
Oh yes. 37
11
11
01.
01.
Ouais, très bien, très
Yes.
bien.
37 11 01.
Oh.
Send the heart is important.
Ouais.
The heart is important
Press
to show that you j'adore Lights Live.
Ouais.
I j'adore Lights Live, so I will send lots of the heart. At least sunk of the heart. Sunk is 5 for those of you playing at home.
Someone wants to know, can a boy win the lucky door?
Oh,
How does a boy win the lucky door?
I think if the boy is funny enough on the
Ouais,
Instagram,
il must comment?
he must come on.
He must. It is the only way.
Is the only way. There is no bias to
Mais
choose who wins the lucky door.
Or you can actually email.
You
Ouais.
can
J'ai
email
oublié.
Jean Calom,
Ouais.
also known as kelom.morris at st-thomas.org.au.
Ah ouais, ah ouais, ouais.
I'm still sending some hearts. We are at 45.
45.
45.
Ribena, un petit peu plus.
Oh, un petit peu plus.
Ouais,
Oh,
c'est-
where.
They cannot see us, but we
Is
are
it
doing
very strong?
it. Ouais.
Where? Un cracker for Pierre.
Declan says, are we supposed to be in Zoom? No, not yet.
No.
Pas encore. We are playing the game. All right. Could someone maybe put the code in the chat, please? And we will go. We'll go.
Pardon, I eat cracker.
Thank you very much, Elliot, and George, and Matt, and Declan, and Ben, and tout le monde. Everyone is doing it. Very helpful. Onwards. Let's go to the polls. Are you French?
Ah!
Someone. Okay, I know the answer.
Which one is your answer, Jean?
Oui, oui. Bien sûr.
For our friends playing at home, Jean Calom, what does on mean?
And there is, how do you say in English? It is a little bit.
little bit.
Just a little.
Comme ci, comme ça.
It's like that. It's comme ci, comme ça.
Comme ci,
Ouais, ouais.
comme ça, if you will.
We have a lot of French people.
And we
look
have
at that.
some Spanish people.
Yes, it's true.
Si,
also.
or
Si.
Spanish people pretending to be French.
Yes, it could be that, but you can see means yes in French as well. Did you know that?
I knew that. But
You know
I
that
don't
because you
think
are
that
French,
other
but they may
people
not.
knew that,
But
yeah.
only some the time.
Some
Yeah, some
this,
detail.
comme si, comme ça.
Comme si, sure, yes.
Shall we hustle on to the next slide?
Ouais.
Who is currently the best French footballer in the world?
Oh, this is an interesting question.
I know all of these names so well. They're really household names around Pierre's household.
One of the pictures does not match who it says it is.
Oh,
But
really?
that is okay.
Oh dear. Who made this quiz?
Oh, this is Jazz Itoff.
Oh, Jazz.
Yes,
Jazz
yes.
Itoff.
She loves the football.
Loves
J'ad-
the football.
Elle adore le football.
J'adore
Le
le
foot, ouais.
football. Ah, yes.
Uh-huh.
Leroy Saint.
Yes, Kylian Mbappé.
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 Oh, yes. Right.
Mbappé.
Perhaps the next one onto the quiz, peut-être?
The quiz?
Oh, here we go.
Ah,
c'est un
trivia
Press
time.
the heart.
Oh, send the... Oh, voilà.
Voilà. Oh, oh là là.
Très bien, très bien.
He looks a little like you.
A little, yes.
Just
That is a photo of Pierre
un
in
peu.
summer.
Oh, my name. I must choose my name. It is Jean Callum.
Pierre has joined the quiz.
Jean Callum. Ouais, je suis là. I am there. I am the train. I am the train.
I am the poisson.
You are the poisson?
I am the
Do you know
poisson.
what? That rhymes with.
And croissant.
Yes.
And accoutrement.
Alright, we have a few people saying they are going to win. Darren is speaking, I believe, Japanese
Darren.
in the chat.
Oh, Darren.
I cannot read that because I am French.
Perhaps later on our travels.
Ouais, we become Japanese.
Japanese. For the moment, we are in the Paris.
Alright, I reckon we can get going.
We
How
can
do we say? Commence,
Commence.
je crois. Oh,
Answer the quick to get the more points.
it's true. Which mountain range borders France et Spain?
Ah,
Je sais pas. Oh,
Oh.
je crois que c'est ça, mais I don't know.
I think the poisson is going to the win.
Oh, really? You think you know this?
I think I know
Look at
this.
that. Les Himalayas.
Les Himalayas.
I don't think that's it. I put Les Alpes.
I put Les Alpes as well,
Ah, we probably just gave the answer for a few people.
who have not yet
Could we,
answered.
do you know how, Dépêche is to hurry up.
Yes, and
So-
supposed to get more points. Important.
Did we get it right? Oh,
Ah.
it's either Les Pyrénées.
Oh, silly Pierre,
You see-
silly
ah.
Jean Colomb.
I think the other Ellie, she got it right.
Oh, did she? The,
Alright,
the,
let's see
the
the
only
leaderboard.
Ellie. There's
Wait,
an
that's-
Ellie and
yeah,
a
yes.
Pierre.
Yes, that's right. It's two. Oh, so Ben is playing. Elliot, well done, Elliot.
Well done.
Elliot says, yeah, I guess so quick.
Very quick. Ben
Stella.
Egan is doing very well.
And I like to see the nice, but if there are not nice names on the leaderboard, we delete them. So they will go.
Gerard Depardieu.
Gérard Depardieu. What does that mean?
I
do not
like
know.
it.
All right, next, please. Oh, I hear.
Oh.
What is, how do you say happening? Oh, wait.
Oh. We're having the technical
Le
difficulties.
difficulty technical.
Give us un moment.
I am in 25th because I have 0 point.
I'm also in the 25th. I also have 0 point.
What is happening?
Perhaps message in the chat if you can still hear us.
Yes, can you still hear us? Bon point. I am also 25th. Yes, they can hear us. Oh, hello. What the heck? What is this?
We
Did
have
Jazz
never
put
had
music with
Vinci
the-
music
Wow.
before.
This is fun.
Answer fast to get the more points.
Well, I
Which
didn't-
European Aerospace Corporation has designed a plane with a flying lifetime of 140,000 hours?
I do not know. I put the wrong answer.
I think I put the wrong answer.
It's
as
got to
well.
be that French one on the end. I put Boeing.
I put Boeing as well.
That's the only one I know.
Jean Calon. Airbus also seems like a valid answer, especially because Airbus is written on this
Ah ouais,
in
c'est vrai.
the image.
Oh, et Jordan.
It's also
C'est funny.
oui, mais
Did I get it right? Everyone said Boeing, but it is
it
what?
was
It is
Airbus.
Airbus.
Oh,
I got it wrong again.
sacre bleu.
A few people. George got it right. Well done,
Oh,
George.
George. As
Très
we can
bien.
see, the return of Pankeshi without the pancake.
Oh, Bankeshi is back.
Pankeshi is back, coming in hot.
Hot, chaude.
Hot.
Elle est très forte.
All right. Next question.
La prochaine. I'm 30
That's the
seconds.
first to get more points.
Le more points, the better.
Stop! I could have dropped my
What?
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 What? Oh,
My crouton?
I
My-
think I got
croissant?
that
I'm gonna say the crouton.
correct. I said le croissant.
Oh, really? Is that a thing?
I think I would be upset if I dropped my croissant.
Oh, George says that it is a meme.
Is a meme?
Sophie loves us. She says she loves us. She's laughing so hard.
Oh,
Thank you very
Sophie.
much, Sophie.
Sophie.
What is this question? I agree with you, Leo.
Ah, Leo.
Oui, oui, says Vin, Vin, Vin.
Oh, 41 of us said croissant,
Oh.
and 41 of us were correct.
Mais no.
I think we are going to see Pierre on the leaderboard,
No, no.
but also probably not.
Ask me how many points I have.
How many points?
0.
0.
I am coming 46.
Now, who is Stroin? I do not know. Next question, dear friends, but Stroin, Ben Egan, doing very well.
Very
And the first
well.
to get more point.
This music is crazy.
Conjugate the second
I know
person
French,
plural
this
from
is
the
very
French
helpful.
état to be. I too know French, so I submit a correct answer.
I hope I got this right. What did people say? People are going to write all sorts.
To
Oh,
have,
not
to
bad.
être, yeet. Oh, vous êtes.
it is the plural. If you said tu es,
Oh.
it is the singular.
I love Calon was one of them.
Needed vous êtes.
Vous êtes. Oh, Lana. See, Lana was going
She
to do
knows,
quite
she
well,
knows.
quite well.
She has
in
just
this
come
one.
back from France.
From France.
Where we are right now.
Well, we miss you, Lana.
That was just to catch you fake Frenchies.
You fake
I
Frenchies.
wonder if you had to have the
Who
accent.
said this? Sweatpants are a sign of defeat. You lose control of your life, so you bought some sweatpants.
What is this? Oh, I think
Ooh.
I put the French sounding name.
Was it Louis Vuitton?
Louis Vuitton?
Louis Vuitton?
That is French, no?
That sounds quite French to me. And as a French speaker,
Yes,
I would
you
know.
would know. Exactly. I hope I do not have to wait 10
what
seconds.
rhymes with Louis Vuitton?
Un poisson, un croissant, et Oh, it was, the answer was,
Oh, the Karl Lagerfeld.
I am doing so badly.
Oh, ho, ho, ho.
Can next week be
Stroin?
trained Minecraft? Stroin,
Stroin
you're doing very
is doing
well. I'm
very
very
well.
proud of you.
Très bien.
Très bien. And we have who's
Now, do
also
we know
doing well.
who Lestroin is?
And
Callum?
who does Leo like?
Who does?
We do not know.
It happens every week. Answer first to get some more points. Approximately how many rats are needed to prepare a ratatouille?
What?
What?
What the heck? Just the one. I said just the one.
I said 9 3/4.
That is Harry Potter.
Oh, I really did want to say, what is the ratatouille? Because I do not understand the question.
Ratatouille is a dish de France. You should know this.
What is, obviously I do know this.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
But for everyone at home who is not as French as Pierre is,
It is a dish that the rat makes in the movie. You know?
I know.
Yes.
I know. As
cousin.
they're French.
The answer was just the one or
Or
excusez-moi.
excusez-moi.
I don't know why
Excusez-moi.
excusez-moi is right, but
Also,
okay.
okay.
I got that one right.
Okay. I've Pierre finished 31st. Let's see who our winner was.
Is this the last question? Oh, I
No,
came last.
we done.
Stroin.
Stroin.
Well done.
Stroin! Stroin, if you'd like to reveal yourself in the chat function so we can congratulate you properly.
Stroin, yeah, well done. Who is it? Leo. It says it's Leo,
Okay.
but I do not know if he's telling the truth.
He could be telling a false.
Oh no, it's vrai. It is him.
It
Well
is
done,
correct.
Gigi. Well played.
Very well played. Now, what are we moving along to next, dear Jean Calon?
Well, it is not Mentimeter. We
It
have
is
done
not
that.
Mentimeter.
I think it is my favorite part of the.
The favorite Zoom group.
It is a Zoom group.
We
well.
move into Zoom group very briefly. I think we may have skipped ahead.
I think
a
we
bit.
yes. Let us do this now.
We do Zoom group now.
We come back at 7:45. We say.
7:45.
Ouais. So
Ouais.
all you leaders out there, we're going 7:45. But that was a lot of fun. And that was a bit of Russian.
Bonjour.
I need the
Oh,
rest.
au revoir.
Au revoir. So welcome back.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Dance Moves with Ellie, featuring France. And we get to sing along and dance along to a famous kids' nursery rhyme from France. And I'm going to ask my friend Callum here to do some translation for us,
Jean Calon.
Jean Callum, as we dance. In
I
a
will do
second.
my best.
Callum, what does poisson mean?
Poisson means fish.
How do you say bird or pigeon?
Je sais pas, pigeon. But bird is l'oiseau.
Wow, he's so good at French. What about snail?
Une escargot.
And garden?
Le jardin.
Yeah, well done. All right, I
Yes.
think we're ready. I think we're ready. Callum will narrate for us.
But I am French, not English.
Get ready for the poisson. We're gonna be fish.
Oh, les poissons.
Stinky
Fish de
fish.
fish.
Stinky fish.
It does not smell good. It
Be
has
a
something
fish.
eyes.
Be a fish. Smelly fish. Smelly fish.
It does not
Be
smell
a
good.
fish. Be a fish. Big eyes. Woo!
Something about its eyes. It rhymes the poisson with Très bien.
Be a fish. Now we're being birds. Eating a snail.
The
Birds eat snails.
They fly high.
Be a bird. Be a bird. Be a
They
snail.
eat the snails.
Be a
The
bird.
birds.
Be a bird in the
They
sky.
fly very high.
Be a hee hee hee. Be a bird.
They fly very well.
Bird, bird, bird. Bird, bird, bird. And we're gonna be
Fly very well
rabbits
again.
now.
Where's the bunny rabbit?
Jordan. Oh, this is really
The
cardio
bunny,
workout.
the bunny,
Alright.
they
Rabbit.
munch grapes. They
Rabbit.
eat grapes.
In a garden, be a tree.
There's a lot
Rabbit.
in my garden.
Rabbit. Be a garden tree.
They raise
Being a rabbit.
Oh. They jump very well.
Woo! And that's the end of our dance segment. I hope that you got as much cardio workout as I did and learned some French words.
It is very fun. Right, we are coming back now. Come on, we are not ready on the moment.
Momento.
Would you like some more Ribena?
Ooh.
Oh my goodness. They did not see that. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Would you like some more?
Ho, ho, ho.
Some more, un petit peu plus?
C'est un petit peu tout, son, ho, ho.
Yes, thank you
C'est
very much,
très
Ben.
bien.
You realize the problem.
Thank you for that très bien dancing,
Yes.
Ellie.
How do you say dance?
Danser.
Danser, yeah.
Don-
That's actually it.
We
Alright, it's good to have you
we
back.
done.
Okay, I think what we go to next?
we are moving on to a very familiar segment of the Let's Live. A laugh a minute with memes of le week with David Rotan.
Oh, there he is. Look, that is him.
Oh, that is him.
It is very good. It says to meme or not to meme.
To meme or not to meme?
That is the question.
That is the question.
And that is David right there. He has not shaved in front.
Yes, he has not shed the con.
Okay, well, let us see.
Meme of the week. Mème de la semaine.
Sacre bleu! We're not up to this yet! Okay, start us off. We've got a cat. He's a real chunky boy, look at him. I've
He's very
literally
fat.
never seen a cat that so strongly resembles a watermelon. I mean, just look at that butt. It's like that. No. Now we've all been here, haven't we? We've got given our dish, we're at a restaurant, it's lying out nicely, and they're just like putting baby amounts of parmesan on it. It's like, no. Give me the block. Give me the wheel of parmesan. I came here for cheese. Not for the meal. It's just not fair. Cut it out, alright? Have some respect for the aliens and the Miss Universe competition. They look beautiful. But meanwhile you think that humans with their 2 legs and opposable thumbs deserve to win? No. Not on my watch. Hell no. Alright, last community, I will not lie to you. I think this is really cool, and after this I might try it out. But I can promise you from personal experience that soap is one of those things that does not taste as good as it smells. Okay? Just putting it out there. Do what you will.
No way.
Ladies and gentlemen, back it again with the wholesome content. Oh man, to live is Christ, to die is gain. When you get to heaven, let me know how that Lucozade tastes, because those 2 little like Scottish Irish babies, they seem to be loving it. Look at them giggle. Oh, take me back to those days. Alright, okay. I'm going to read this in the classic Western left to right, top to bottom kind of style, alright? We are sorry. Due to COVID-19, we are beef. Now, it's funny because COVID-19 does not make you beef. But if you start exhibiting beef-like symptoms, I want you to call somebody. Hey guys, I didn't see you there. I'm just mooning it up here. You know, if you're wondering for things you can do in your free time, I highly recommend you give this one a try. Alright, ladies and gents, you know what time it is. Let's get to the transition. Oh my goodness. My head feels weird from inhaling this. Shout out to Clara for helping out with these memes, because she did French in the IB, and so I figured she'd have some. And for some reason, when I typed up French memes, all the memes were in French. Okay, now this one is a bit intellectual. Bread in French is pain. Get it? He has pain in both legs. He has bread in both legs. Ah! No, this one, I'm just gonna read out in a French accent because I find it more funny that way. Oh, in English, the green worm goes towards the green glass. It just sounds funny. And now, le piece au resistance! An iconic vine. Except if you're like in year 7 or something and you don't know what vine is. But if you quote this to someone older, more mature, they will just respect. Up here, alright?
Stop! I could have dropped my croissant.
And with that, we have come to la fin. Now, in this time, I've learnt a valuable French quote, and this is it. Faut pas pousser mamie dans les orties. Okay? Remember that as you go about your week. God bless. Have a good one, ladies and gents.
Did you turn it on?
I think the microphone is
Oh, what microphone? There is no
microphone. This organic.
That was very good, Mr. Meme. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Me.
A lot of love for that segment.
Yes. Oui.
No.
Yes,
Need some more Ribena.
yes, I do not understand how the throat is so sore when I speak like this all the time.
Moving on.
Yes, to the next segment.
What it is? It is the one with it is there. The memory
memory
verse.
verse.
The verse, the memory.
With that handsome devil in the top corner.
He is not very handsome. Let's be honest.
Oh.
He looks very full of himself. He is very happy
Very proud.
that he is who he is.
He is who he is.
And he has always wanted that kind of worship. He is now getting it. Not him, but yes, always.
Almost.
When the video is ready, it will play away.
Oh, hey. I didn't see you there.
I think
I'm just kidding, I see you there. And we're up to our favourite part of the night, the memory verse. We're doing it to Wonderwall by Oasis. I'm sure that song has now been stuck in your head for 3 weeks straight, which is so great because it's a good song. Let's sing through everything we're doing today, and then we'll go and learn the new bit, and then we'll see it through again. Here we go.
Sounds like a plan.
It's a long intro.
The plan.
So if you wanna head out for a bit, feel free. But not too long, because it starts in about 20 minutes. Okay, warm up your voices.
Oh, the monkey!
Yeah, no, we're good. We're feeling confident. Here we go. I'll give us a count in. Remember, it starts with who being in very nature God. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Who being in very nature God do not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. No, rather he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant. That was the first week.
That was.
And being made in human likeness. Being made in human likeness and found in appearance as a man. He humbled himself by becoming obedient to death. Obedient to death, even death on a cross. Okay, this is the new bit. Therefore God exalted him into the highest place and gave him the name above all other names, that at the name of Jesus every knee should bow in heaven and earth. There we go. That is so good. Well done, everyone. We're going to pause that music. Let's go over that new bit. So this is the third of our 4th installment. Let's learn it.
I cannot hear him. Where is he?
The sound seems to have gone. Something about God being exalted.
Therefore God exalted him to the highest place. You can sing with us. Oh, I think he's waiting for us to do that again.
Therefore
Do it again.
God. Oh no, it's out of this
Okay.
time.
He's going to sing it, then we will. And
Gave him the name above all other names.
Oh, it's a very long one.
That the name of Jesus, every knee should bow in heaven and on earth.
I think I got that.
That was perfect. Lifted him to the highest place.
Now he
Gave him the name above all other names. That at the name of Jesus, every knee should bow in heaven and on earth.
He
Luke
sang,
seems
he
happy
said
with
that
how
was
it
good.
performed.
Yes, he is
Nearly
good.
there. I'm ready for you guys to learn it.
Zephyr.
It's me. For now, let's sing through everything we did today from the top.
We didn't. Yeah, okay.
Okay, Okay, guys, here we go.
I think it's just us who could not hear.
They thought this was funny, so it's all good.
No after breaks, you do not have time. Okay,
I was about to come in, so thank you, Luke, for warning me.
Here you go.
Who being in very nature God did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. No, rather he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of the servant.
Week 1 done. That's easy. Next bit.
Being made in human likeness and found an appearance as a man, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to death. Obedient to death, even death on a cross.
Okay, now what we did this week. Therefore God
exalted him to the highest place and gave him the name above all other names.
So what?
That at the name of Jesus, every knee should bow in heaven and on earth. In heaven and on earth.
Guys, you did so well. I know you are dying to go practice that right now.
I am.
Wait till the live stream's over, but do keep practicing. We're going to finish it next week, and after that, I want you to be ready to send in videos of you having that down pat. There will be really good prizes. You think the lucky door is good? It has got nothing on the memory verse. Until then, see you next week.
A bit of rivalry.
The prizes.
The lucky dog, pretty good.
The reward.
Well, yes. What did you say? I did not hear.
Reward?
Le reward.
Le reward.
Je sais pas, yes. Onwards.
We move into a time of more singing.
Yes, yes. We are going to sing a song now, and it is good time to just sit and think, you know? It is very true that God died for us, He saved us, and we can sometimes think that we should trust other things, want other things, but it's very true that it's at the name of Jesus. So we're going to sing about this name, put away distraction, and just have a think. Yes, have a think about the words, and here we go.
My joy in sorrow steals, my strength to cast out fears. No other name but Jesus, Jesus. My hope in darkest night, my broken soul's delight. No other name but Jesus, Jesus.
But Jesus crucified, no other cure for sin, but that our Savior died.
No other hope we have, but that He rose again. He rose again. My joy in sorrow steals, my strength to cast to cast out fears. No other name but Jesus, Jesus. My hope in darkest night, my broken soul's delight. No other name but Jesus, Jesus.
Magnifique.
Magnifique.
Très bien.
Très bien. So as we wrap up the live streamed part of the night Calum, Jean Calum.
Jean Calum, eh?
My apologies.
It's okay, it's okay.
What is our final segment?
We have aussi,
Also.
which is also,
Also.
and you will. First of all, I think very important to say. You notice there's something different about tonight. We have not had the talk yet.
We have not had the talk
We
yet.
have not had the Bible reading,
Not have the Bible
and we have not
reading.
had the prayer.
We have not had the prayer.
No. And so we are going to be doing this in a separate, how do you say, genders?
Genders.
In a Zoom room, in a big Zoom room with all the people.
So the girls and the boys in separate Zoom rooms.
Yes. So we have not missed it. Just wait one moment and we will get to that.
Un momento.
Yes, a little bit.
What else do we have to say to them this evening, Callum?
Well, the next week is very special.
Very special.
Very.
We shall be having the social event.
Race, eh?
Yes. And so we have a very special message from the fun police herself.
Yes.
Hey
yes,
Lights,
it is.
I'm here to announce that next week is this term's highlight and we're going to be doing a movie night in our discussion groups. Because we can't all be at church, we would love it if you got together in little groups to watch. We're going to be using Netflix Party, which means that even though we may not able to be together in the same house, we can still watch together the same movie. If you don't have Netflix and aren't able to join with a friend who does, don't worry at all. Just let your leader know and we'll sort something out for you. Like all highlights, this is a super good opportunity to invite friends along to Lights. If you have any questions, please ask your leader. Au revoir.
Oh, that sounds very fun.
Yes, they're very fun. I do not understand why Emma had to put the camera on the portrait
Yes.
instead of the landscape. Unfortunately, we are running a live stream at the moment. Landscape next time,
Yes,
Emma.
it is not that hard. Just follow. It is the classic fun police.
Yes, classic fun police,
Yes,
but
the
she
fun
is
police.
very helpful in organizing the social for us, which shall be a very, very, very fun week.
Ouais, ouais.
Ouais.
Well, there are a few other announcements you need to know. It is on Sunday. What can you do?
We shall be going to Daylights if you are in year 7 to 9, which is 10 a.m. at stthomaslive.online.church, and then a Zoom meeting ID which you can join a couple of the leaders if you would like to watch with them. If
Yes.
not, then watch with your families.
Yes, exactly. And then if you're a bit older, years 10 to 12, then please come and join us at 5 p.m. for church. And there's something else you would like to say?
Yes, we will have the quiet time with Gerard as well, Monday to Friday, 4 to 4:20 p.m. And that is the Zoom ID. I shall say it in Francais.
9.
9, 9, 9, 9, 5, 0, 0, 4,
4-9.
4-9.
Ouais, ouais.
Flawless.
Without error.
No flaws.
Okay, we are getting very close to the end. The next announcement is back one before
Back
we get on to that.
Back one.
It is LIT. It is in September. It's September, I think, 26th, 28th. We'll go see it soon. There
Yes,
it is.
redeemed.
28th to the 2nd of October. Yes.
October.
And it is very good for the seniors, years 10 to 12. If you want to go get together, all your groups, and you can go. And it is very good.
Very good. And Was there the Lucky Door prize as well? We also mentioned earlier. How do they enter the Lucky Door prize?
Comment?
Comment
You
on
need to comment.
Instagram?
Do you not like? Well, like, yes, but you have to comment. I think there was an idea, if you tag a friend, you get 2 entries.
Oh, or if you share on your Instagram story.
You get 2 entries as well. Yes.
Interesting. Now, before we move on into our Zoom, we'll move on to our Zoom group. Where shall we be in 2 week time?
That is the question. I think it is just across the canal.
Just across the
We are
canal.
going to go to Italia.
Italia.
Yes, we will have everything ready to go. My brother Mario is expecting us.
Yes.
It is in 2 weeks' time. So yes, very exciting, no?
Yeah. Très bien.
Très bien.
All right. Now, do we have a Zoom code?
So we're going to have the talk and the other thing. So if you look, the garçons are in, let's go en français, 219, rue 4035, rue 2.
And I do the boys.
You do the boys.
9.
Très bien.
50049.
9.
9.
No, 1 9 at the end.
So many 9.
So this is au revoir from us.
Yes.
We hope you have a good night. We hope you listen attentively and à bientôt.
À bientôt.
But see you soon.
See you soon. À bientôt. Au revoir. Bon voyage.
Bon voyage.
Bon voyage.
Hi there, ladies. My name is Ellie, and I have the privilege of leading the Year 12 girls. I hope that you guys have enjoyed some time in your groups as girls. It's nice to meet together as girls once in a while, and I hope you've had a good time looking at the passage, asking those questions that you have, and starting to think about the things that stand out to you. And keep all of that stuff in mind as we read, checking that everything that I say and anything that's ever said at church in St. Thomas's makes sense against what the Bible passage says. Let's hop into it, right? Obsessed. Obsessed. That's a word that I often hear coming out of Ellie Dudley's mouth, and it's usually something to do with Messina or her latest song that she loves on Spotify, or often her very good friend Emma Harrison. And whilst it's a bit of an exaggeration when Ellie's talking about it, I want to tell you guys about the experience I had with obsession. Not necessarily with obsession with a thing, but a person. This person was a music artist that was popular a couple of years ago, and I loved her music. I discovered her before she got big, and as people started recognizing her and her fame increased, so did my obsession with her. This obsession impacted what I thought about when was she going to release a new album. It impacted the friends I had. I joined a Twitter fan club. It was tragic. It impacted the things that I did, like create little flower notes to throw onto her and her band on stage when I saw her at her concert. Again, tragic. And it impacted all parts of my life. I felt like it was only a matter of time before she was going to be crowned queen of the music world, and I was in. But what happens if she wasn't crowned queen? What happens if she wasn't so successful? And what happens now that her music is barely played on the charts or the radio, and she's kind of faded into the background? Obsession. I'm going to suggest tonight that the topic of obsession, or even who we're obsessed by, is impacted by knowing the end, knowing the outcome, and knowing that the person or thing you're obsessed with is significant. Our obsessions in life tend to fade and change over time. As the significance of a certain thing fades, so does our obsession with it. But there's one thing, one person for which this will never happen. One person whose significance will never fade away. And that's what our passage is about tonight. What we've read today or seen in the Bible verse lettering is a passage written by a guy called Paul, and penned by his friend Timothy. And it's written to the letter to the Philippians, a group of Christians in Philippi. It's not so much about an obsession with a musical queen, as I was talking about before, but it's about an obsession with a cosmic king. We have 2 points today. What does gospel obsession look like? Number 1. And number 2, examples of gospel obsession. But before we go there, I want to share with you guys some context to this passage. What is gospel obsession? At the end of the previous passage, we see it says in verses 9 to 11, "Therefore God exalted him, Jesus, to the highest place, and he gave him the name that is above every name, that at the name of Jesus every knee should bow, in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and every tongue acknowledge that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father." This is an incredible passage. Imagine the last day, the day when Jesus returns, when every knee will bow to him. Every single person who has ever lived will bow to him. Every single person who is alive at that time will bow to him. Every person who has accepted Jesus as Lord and Savior will rejoice and bow to him. And every single person who has chosen to reject him will regretfully bow to him. This is a huge passage. It's a huge image. This epic day when everyone finally will acknowledge Jesus Christ as Lord of the entire universe. And this context is what we're coming into this passage today with. It's the day of Christ that Paul is really concerned with when he talks about when he talks about the end. The passage we started with today starts with the therefore. And whenever you see a therefore in the Bible, I want you to ask, what's the therefore? Because it means that the stuff that comes before it is important. Blah, 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 therefore, etc. And when Paul talks about the day of Christ in verse 16 in our passage, this is what he's talking about. That final day when every knee will bow to Jesus. You'll see as we go along that Paul is urging the Philippians to live in light of the day of Christ. And he's commending Epaphroditus and Timothy for the way that they already do this and are great examples of people who live in light of that day. This focus on the end, the focus on the day when every knee will bow to Jesus, that's what Paul is focused on in this passage, and that's what I'm calling gospel obsession. Because at the end of the day, Jesus will certainly return. Every knee will bow to him, and it is for this reason that we ought to be gospel obsessed. So let's head into our first point. What does gospel obsession look like? And we're looking at verses 12 to 16 of chapter 2 here. So make sure you're checking along as we go. If I could see you guys today in the room, and I wish I could, I'd ask you to put your hands up if you have sporty parents. You know, the parents who will get up at 5 a.m. to drive you to the rowing sheds, or the ones that will freeze oranges for you so you have something cool to eat after a game of sweaty soccer. Now, my parents weren't really like that, and that's probably because I was a bit of a tragic sports person. But this one time, I got into district swimming, and it was a big deal. So my mum came along, she was cheering me along. I only had one race in that whole carnival. And when it got to that race, she wanted to support me so badly that unknowingly, rather than just cheering from the bleachers, she walked down to next to the pool and started walking next to me as I swam my race. She'd be yelling out, "Keep going, Ellie, you're almost there." She was reminding me to keep the finish line in mind. And I tell this story today because that's what Paul is on about. He has this real great love for the Philippians. He really cares for them. He really wants to encourage them in their walk with Jesus because he wants them to keep the end in mind. He wants them to be gospel obsessed, and for that obsession of the day of Christ to impact the way that they live today. So we can see his love for them as he talks about them as dear friends in verse 12, and he encourages them as people who have always obeyed. He wants to hear news about them and be cheered by it. He really wants the Philippians to live in light of Jesus' return. So we've been talking about gospel obsession this afternoon, sorry. And I guess you're probably wondering here, what does gospel obsession look like? Well, our first point under here is A, working out your salvation. Paul calls the Philippians in verse 12 and 13 to work out their salvation with fear and trembling, for it is God who works in you to fulfill his good purpose. Is he asking the Philippians here to work to earn their faith, do you think? Well, I don't think so, because he says right after that God is the one who works in them. I think it's helpful to think about work out as another way of thinking about it is like actively express. Express what is true about you. So if you think about like a rose bush, when someone plants a rose bush, they plant it in the ground and it might not have any roses on it. It might just be like looking like a bush, thorny. But then as they water it, as they prune it, as they fertilize it, they watch it grow, and one day it produces a beautiful rose. The bush itself was not ever any less a rose bush by the lack of presence of a rose, but the rose is an active expression, a worked out version of what was already true about that bush. And as people look at it, they marvel at the beauty. And I think that this is what he means when he's talking about working out your salvation. Work to express what is already true about you. I wonder, do you grasp the beautiful truth that you are, or you could be, saved by the goodness of God alone? Perhaps this is something you need to meditate on, think about, pray through, write out what is true about you as a child of God. That's like the watering of the rose bush. Or perhaps for you, you know that, but you struggle to believe that it's better than everything else that the world has to offer. Is there sin that you need to put to death in your life? That's the pruning of the rose bush. So, work out your salvation. In light of Jesus' certain return, work out or actively express the salvation that you have been granted, if indeed that is true. Because gospel obsession looks like working out your salvation. A. B. The second part of what gospel obsession looks like. It looks like avoiding grumbling and arguing. Verses 14 and 15 say, "Do everything without grumbling or arguing, so that you may become blameless and pure, children of God without fault in a warped and crooked generation." Do you remember what gospel obsession is all about? It's about living in light of the end. And something happens when we stop thinking about the end. We start to grumble and argue about the circumstances we're in. I know this well because one time I did a 50k walk, and you know, all these sporting examples might make it seem like I'm a sporty person, but that was probably the extent of my sport career at high school. We did a 50k walk and it was all well and good until we got about like 40k's in and we were like exhausted, so annoyed, so hungry, and we started arguing about the best way to go. You know, we had a map, but we weren't sure if we were following it properly. We started grumbling about how tired we were and how sore our feet were. We stopped thinking about the end in mind and we started grumbling and arguing with one another. When we lose sight of the end, We go from teammates on the same team heading for the same mission to opposition playing on a field. And a note on grumbling. Grumbling happens when we focus too much on the here and now, rather than keeping the end in sight. I've been really encouraged lately by some girls who are part of this youth group. Girls who have been facing really hard circumstances with their families, with their health, with the hopes that they had for this year being dashed. And what I've noticed is some of them have really, really trusted God. They've really seen that there's a much bigger picture at play. And whilst they don't understand what's happening now, exactly why, they know that there's a bigger purpose ahead. They're not grumbling because they're keeping the end in mind, trusting God that He will deliver. The one time in my life that I've ever been persecuted for my faith, and that's a privilege that I guess I have because we live in a pretty free country. This passage was a real comfort to me. Thinking about the final day when every knee will bow to Jesus was what helped me to persevere, to keep trusting God, to not give up following Jesus, because I was able to keep the end in mind and I had friends who would spur me on to do so. When Christians care more about Jesus than fighting with each other or grumbling about the circumstances they're in, they shine like stars. That's what this passage says. I think it's a beautiful image. Shining like stars in a dark sky. Not North Sydney, which is full of light pollution, but imagine you've driven all the way out to the outback. You're lying on the floor outside looking up at the stars. And it's so bright. I've only ever done this once, but it reminded me of flour like dropped on a black ground. There was so much light. Shining like stars against a pitch black sky is what Christian communities look like when they don't grumble and argue, but instead they focus on the end. Gospel obsession looks like avoiding grumbling and arguing. C, hold on to the word of life. Philippians 2:6 says, as you hold firmly to the word of life. 2:16 says, as you hold firmly to the word of life, and it's connected to what we just read before. Paul is reminding the Philippians of the importance of holding on to and reading and knowing the truth. The Bible, the word of life, as we read it, will help us to keep the end in mind. So to summarize all of that, what does gospel obsession look like? It looks like A, working out your salvation, actively expressing what is true about you as a saved child of God. B, it looks like avoiding grumbling and arguing, keeping the end in mind. C, it looks like holding on to the word of life. And if we do this, the church will shine brightly in the sky like stars against a sea of dark sky. It's no surprise or coincidence that our youth group is called Lights. This is what it's about. It's about being a light to Christ for our community, for the people around us, so that they might see that Jesus is Lord today rather than the final day. Now let's move on to our second point, examples of gospel obsession. You might have been wondering what this second half of the passage was all about. It kind of sounds like a logistics chat, like I'm gonna go here, you're gonna do that, kind of like a carpooling conversation your parents might have. But as we look more deeply, I'll hope you see that in this passage, there are some incredible examples of gospel obsession. Paul is really gracious to the Philippians. He doesn't just expect them to get it straight away what it means to be gospel obsessed, but he gives them real life examples of what that gospel obsession looks like in people's lives. And because Jesus will certainly return, we ought to be gospel obsessed. Let's look at Timothy. He's a guy who is really an apprentice of Paul. In Philippians 2:19-22 it says, I hope in the Lord to send Timothy to you soon, that I may be also cheered when I receive news about you, I have no one else like him who will show genuine concern for your welfare. For everyone looks out to their own interests, but not those of Jesus Christ. But you know that Timothy has proved himself, because as a son with his father, he has served with me in the work of the gospel. Timothy is a man who is genuinely concerned for the welfare of the Philippians. He has genuine care. And he's someone who doesn't look to his own interests. He's someone who looks to the interests of Jesus Christ, which is so significant and important here. He's someone who definitely has the end in mind, for sure. Epaphroditus, verses 25 to 30. I think it is necessary to send back to you Epaphroditus, my brother, co-worker, and fellow soldier, who is also your messenger, whom you sent to take care of my needs. Verse 29. So then, welcome him in the Lord with great joy. Honor people like him, because he almost died for the work of Christ. He risked his life to make up for the help you yourselves could not give me. Epaphroditus is clearly a man who has the Philippians' best interests at heart. He was willing to risk his life for the sake of the gospel and for the sake of Jesus' message being proclaimed. Paul describes this man as a brother, a co-worker, a soldier, and a messenger. They seem to have shared much together as siblings in Christ. They are working towards the same mission as co-workers for Christ. They are facing hardship in their mission like soldiers. And he was sent as a messenger to take care of the needs of Paul by the Philippians. There is a great deal of loving service expressed through Epaphroditus' actions and sentiment. This is someone who definitely has his eyes fixed on the future. He's not grumbling about the circumstances he's in. He's not arguing with Paul. He is holding on to the word of Christ. He's willing to risk his life for the sake of that truth. And he's definitely someone who could be described as gospel obsessed. Let's talk about Paul. We know from other parts of the Bible that he's experienced a lot of pain and suffering. Here it says he experiences sorrow upon sorrow, verse 27, and he's poured himself out as a drink offering. Without going into too much detail, it's about him sacrificing his own energy for the sake of the Philippians' faith. I don't know if you've noticed a common theme amongst these three examples, but in these gospel-obsessed, faithful people, there's this common thread of gospel friendship. People who are pouring themselves out for each other and with each other and alongside each other. There's great affection for each of them, and there's great affection that they have for the Philippian church. I wonder if you have experienced this gospel friendship. The gospel friendship that is a byproduct of being side by side with people who are too gospel obsessed. I've had the privilege, as I said before, of leading the Year 12 girls, and Al Wharton and I have actually led these youth guys and girls for 7 years, which has been pretty incredible. And something I really appreciate about Al is I know that he has the interests of Christ in mind. Although in many ways he is so frustrating to me and is always a little bit more dangerous with our youth activities than I would be comfortable with. But I know he loves Jesus, and he's always someone who's willing to speak to Jesus with friends and family. We'll often say to each other, hey, my friend's coming to church today, please come and speak to him about Jesus, and vice versa. It's amazing to have friends who you can be on mission together with. And as a result, you have great and deep friendships that are based around the gospel. And that is such an incredible privilege, and I hope that you guys have the opportunity to have that now or soon. We've seen 3 examples of gospel-obsessed people in this passage: Timothy, Epaphroditus, and Paul. And Paul is urging the Philippians to be the same. People who love each other well with great sincerity, care for one another and the people to know God, and they have the interest of Christ in mind. These people are definitely worthy of honor, as it says in this passage. So, because Jesus will certainly return, we ought to be gospel obsessed. And what might this gospel obsession idea or thing look like in your life, I wonder? Well, my first question for you is, are you on board? As we've talked about all this stuff, I wonder, has it been kind of confusing to you thinking about being this obsessed with Jesus? It's a bit crazy, I imagine, for some people. And if you're in that camp, I want to encourage you to understand the gospel, understand the message that Jesus is talking about. Skip back up to the passage just before this, verses 5 to 11. It's an incredible explanation of who Jesus is and what he did and how much he loves the people of this world. He humbled himself to death on a cross so that you would be able to know him and be in right relationship with his Father. If that's you, if you're still confused about this Jesus thing, go back to those passages and understand the gospel, because it is so beautiful and you need to understand it before you can be obsessed by it. But I wonder if you're in another camp. Maybe you do know the gospel, but you struggle to understand how to be obsessed by it. Or, you're a Christian, but you're just never really that compelled by it. And I have two encouragements for you. The first one is, God is at work in you. It says in this passage today in verse 13 that he is the one who works in you to fulfill his good purpose. And as you keep the end in mind, I want to encourage you to pray to God and ask him to make you obsessed with his beautiful gospel. I want to encourage you to lean on him, to meditate on his truth, to seek his truth in his word, because he is the one who works in you. God is at work in you. That's my first exhortation. My second is hang out with people who love Jesus. This passage has been so clear about the importance of side-by-side work living for Jesus. Paul spent 11 verses commending the value of gospel friendship and how important it is to labor side-by-side people who are gospel obsessed. So find the person in your discussion group or your Christian group at school who loves Jesus the most. Find the person whose life is transformed by the fact that they love Jesus and they get what is happening in verses 5 to 11, that Jesus loves them and means so much. Find that person, hang out with that person, ask them what they're learning about God. Because we need each other. We need each other to run this race together. And I really want to encourage you, pursue the friendships that are going to build you up in Jesus. Not the person who has the best house or the best video games. Pursue the person who loves Jesus and wants to encourage you to love him too. There are so many of you guys who already live this way, and that is something worthy of rejoicing in and celebrating. So just a reminder, understand the gospel so you can become obsessed by it and get gospel obsessed alongside others with God's help. So at the beginning, I shared with you about a silly but very real obsession that I had with a musical queen. Her name was Lorde, with an E. Ironic, right? But today we've heard of a far greater Lord, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. He will return and he will be recognized as the only Lord of this universe, not one among many, but the only one. There is a life waiting for us today, a life that is centered around Jesus' message of salvation, forgiveness, love, and truth. This is the gospel. Jesus will certainly return. Every knee will bow to him. And we have a decision to make. will we make the choice today and for the rest of our lives to choose to be obsessed with the gospel of Jesus Christ. He is so worth it. Will you choose to be gospel obsessed? Just before we head to discussion groups, why don't I pray for us? Father, you are so good. Your Son is so beautiful, Jesus, who went to the cross for us, who humbled himself to the point of death on a cross, and he will be exalted to the highest place, and his name will be above every name, and every knee will bow to him. Father, in light of this, would you help us to, if we don't know you as Lord and Saviour, to seek you out, to understand what the gospel is, who you are. And Lord, if we do know you, if we do understand the gospel, would you help us to meditate on this truth? Would you help us to seek you? And would you help us to rely on you through prayer to be gospel obsessed and to lean on others, to labor side by side with others who will spur us on in the obsession of the gospel, because you are good and this life of gospel obsession is worth it, Lord. And I just pray that you would grant this to every single young woman who is sitting in a Zoom group tonight. Lord, you are so good. And I pray that each and every one of these girls would know that and follow you. Amen. Thanks, ladies. Why don't you head to your discussion group now?